I started thinking about things in this manner. When it comes to things in water and it comes to things in the air, and it all correlates, which is one of the things I didn't know until I started doing these thought experiments and really, taking the time to think about it. That it's all basically the same thing. All deals with density and all that. If you think about it, as in everything, every element has a certain amount of weight to it, right? And every element has a certain threshold before every element has like a certain amount of weight it can hold, before it breaks, basically. So like water, without even thinking about the amount of density water is, if you think about just the idea that water can hold a certain amount of water can only hold a certain amount of weight on the surface before it's enough to break, and then for that object to fall through it. Just like skin. Your skin can only take a certain amount of pressure before it splits, and then the object that's pushing on it will go through it. Right? So you take that into consideration for every type of element, every type of compound there is on this planet. That each one has a certain threshold, and once you exceed that threshold, the object is going to pass through it. Alright? So that's how floating works. Bam! Easy as pie. So now here's the time to get an example. Okay, so if you take water in a container, for example, water in a container is pushing against itself and against the container, right? So you fill up a container, it's pushing down because of gravity. I don't even want to use that since I learned stuff about gravity anyway. But it's going against the cup itself, and the force is pushing against each other molecule in there, right? When you put something new inside that, there's a force from that object pushing on that water, and then there's forces of the water pushing on that object. That's what gives you pressure. That's why the farther you go down the water, the higher the pressure gets. The farther you go up towards space, the less pressure it gets. There's less molecules up there, there's less force pushing against your body, but lowers the pressure, right? If there's enough force pushing at the object to stop it from going down, so the push that's going at the object is more than the object force itself trying to penetrate the water, then it'll keep it afloat. And that works with density. So if you have something that weighs, let's say it weighs 10 tons, right? But you have it 10 tons and it's this small. That means the amount of force that's pushing, the amount of water that's pushing on this 10-ton object is not enough to keep it from sinking into the water. But if you take a 10-ton object and you take that object and you spread it to, let's say, 5 miles of 10 tons, that means there's more surface area for the water to push against it, because this object is trying to take up the space. This object is trying to take up the space where the water was. The water is trying to take up as much space as it can. So that water is pushed against the object, and because it has a large amount of space, then it has that little bit of force over a large amount of space equals up to enough to stop the object from sinking into the water. And the same goes to air. Air has less force. All gases have less force pushing against it. And I have a theory on that, but we'll stick to this. And so all gases have a force that's pushing against the object. You're getting force pushed onto you right now. I mean, me right now. This force is pushing on these cars and all that stuff like that. But it's not enough force to elevate the cars or to elevate me. But if you take another gas that has even less, which is helium compared to all the other heavier gases, then that force that's pushing against that balloon is more than the amount that the density of that object has, and the force is pushing it down, because you always got to deal with the two different forces of what's at the bottom, which is always going to be more than what's at the top. So you have more density of oxygen or air molecules closer to the ground than you do the farther away you get from the surface. So if that force of molecules is enough to push that balloon up, and there's not enough force pushing on the other angles to keep the balloon down, then it's going to keep going up, and the pressure above it keeps being lower than the pressure below it, which keeps pushing it upward. And so, you know, every time I try to explain something like that, just like the other two topics that I had, it's like, it makes sense to me, but I don't know if I'm explaining it to a degree that it makes sense to the people that's listening. It's like, I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but it makes sense to me. And it's not like what I'm saying is wrong. It's just that I might be saying it in a way that it's not quite easy to understand. But once again, so when it comes to objects moving in the space, why do objects move forward? Other than friction is concerned, so other than like taking the idea of equal actions causing an equal and opposite reaction, you know, Newton and all that stuff. Let's say you take that out the picture. That I would consider involved with, I would consider that being involved with, let's say, walking, because it deals with friction. I don't have enough force to push the earth, so because of that, I am forced forward. So it's two different motions going on when you're kicking your foot down. You're pushing this way, right? When you're pushing away from you with your foot going this way, if that object is not going anywhere, right, then your force is just basically transferred to you going forward. And that's how walking basically works. So if you strip out friction, right, and let's see something that's not going to move, and you take a plane, or you take a boat, or you take the person swimming concern, and you go underwater and you're swimming, what happens? Well, from my point of view, and this is how I got to understand it, and it works the same way as it does with planes, is that when you go to do your stroke, you're pushing water away. And you could say this is equal and opposite reaction. But let's say, like I said, let's not even talk about that. I'm not saying I don't agree with equal opposite reaction. I just want to bring up another point. Is that when you sweep your arm, when you're swimming, you're sweeping your arm and you're moving the water. And you're moving water specifically from the water that's in front of you, and you're pushing it to go behind you. Alright? Because of that, there's a gap. There's a gap in a sense, a gap in pressure, right? So once you take that water and you move it behind you, there's a gap of pressure in front of you, right? And the same thing is when it came to that balloon. Because that less pressure in front of you, the pressure behind you is enough to push you forward until you even out again. And then you push water again, it changes the pressure, and you get pushed forward again. It's the same as flying. I thought I had a better example, but I guess it's the same as flying in the sense that, well, yeah, I mean, it's the same as flying when it comes to propellers. Is that you're taking, you're taking air molecules from in front of you, especially when the bipedal, was it bipedal? Whatever, the planes with the propellers in the front. You're taking air from the front of you and you're pushing it behind you as fast as you can, and that causes a difference in the pressure as far as the space is concerned, and you move forward. But maybe I'm messing this up. So off of that, I'm just gonna kind of stop right here. I'm kind of rambling more and more, and the more I do it, it sort of makes sense to me, but I don't know how much sense it's making to you guys. So I'm just gonna cut it short and just say, just take that in consideration. If you got a better idea or a better understanding of it, let me know. If you don't have scientific, understanding of it, that's fine. Like I said before, just, this is what you think is going on. This is your idea. This is your examples that back you up and your evidence. Now go ahead, shoot it to me. Leave a comment. You got this jacket on backwards. It's gonna take him a little bit of time. He'll figure it out. Yeah, there you go. He just figured it out. Let me know what you think. If you have any better ideas, if you think my idea doesn't make that much sense, fine. Whatever. Discuss amongst yourselves on the channel. Do all that. Just let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. Give me a head nod. Up. There you go.